VIP service at every location of the Team Automotive Group.
That would be concerning and maybe set a precedent moving forward.
If you have plans to be outside, you might hit a couple of these little passing showers.
A drug bust and a few arrests made. Look at what they hauled in here.
Hello. Welcome to 9 News Now. It is a bomb. I don't even want to say. I want the surprise for Steve to talk about the temperature because it is nice outside.
We got to turn on the heater. I mean, I'm getting kind of chilly up in here. We got little space kind of heaters going on. I don't even know what to do with
We're
this.
so excited.
Steve.
We can't even handle it.
Welcome to the Plus. Look what you did for us.
You hit that age where you got the circulation issues
Yeah, that's
now,
true.
huh?
That is very true. Yes. Sorry. All the blankets.
Well, yeah.
Says the guy is right behind you. But yes, outside this morning, man, it is nice relative to where we've been so far this summer. Coolest weather we've seen in quite some time. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But look at all the 60s on the board this morning. Baton Rouge 69 now, Gonzales Hammond 67. As cool as 65 in New Roads to start it out. We got as cool as 68 here in Baton Rouge last hour, which represents the coolest temperature we've seen since the 6th of June, more than 2 months ago. That morning, we got down to 67, so pretty close to that. Anyway, you slice it, really nice outside this morning. Here's the problem, though. It's going to heat up in a hurry through the remainder of today. Low 90s by noon, 93 by noon, which would already be above our normal high for the day at 92, and a high around 100, which would be a record high. So here's what's going on. The air, as you know, I think, is pretty dry outside. Humidity is down. When the air is dry, it cools more readily, it cools off easily, but it also heats up more easily. So you get a bigger temperature range on days like this where the air is relatively dry. Now, with that dry air in place, the heat index is not going to be much of an issue today. Forecast high of 100, forecast heat index up around 101, but beginning tomorrow, humidity starts to climb, and with that, the heat index becomes an increasing concern, getting closer to 110 tomorrow. A heat advisory already posted for tomorrow, and those heat index numbers could climb above 110 into the weekend. So please make the most of this morning. The oppressive heat will be back into the weekend. Let's update you on the tropics. Lots to talk about, both in the Atlantic and on the Pacific side. This is Hillary awaiting the latest advisory. It was a strong tropical storm, but an eye now appears to be pretty clearly evident, so this looks to be a hurricane. What's interesting about this one, not going to bother us, but it's going to head up towards Baja California and may eventually, what's left of it, it'll weaken as it gets farther north, make its way into the southwestern U.S. or maybe even into California at minimum, potentially producing some very heavy rainfall, but also could be some tropical storm conditions up into parts of Southern California, depending on the track and how this all plays out. So you're going to be hearing about that quite a bit, I think, in the national news. Now, on the Atlantic side, it's a messy picture out here. This is what we call a monsoon trough, basically an elongated area of low pressure. And the trick here is trying to figure out what part of this elongated area of the trough of low pressure, where does something become kind of the dominant feature. So right now, the National Hurricane Center highlighting two separate areas, giving both of those basically equal odds of developing about a 60% chance. The good news here is that right now, anything that comes out of this general vicinity looks like it'll stay out over the open Atlantic, but we are still tracking the potential of something in the Gulf next week. And in the latest outlook just out, the National Hurricane Center did bump up development odds slightly, now up to 30%. So if something happens, that's probably not until early next week. We're going to watch this tropical wave probably moving into the southeastern Gulf by Sunday night, and then headed westward from there. Right now, our kind of lean in the forecast is to keep more of the energy, more of the rain, a little bit south and southwest of us, but still some uncertainty, especially when we don't have a whole lot to track as of yet. So we'll keep an eye on it. Certainly could use some rain out of that system, although we don't really want to see anything organized. Not expecting much rain into the weekend, mainly dry through Sunday, up around 100 today, highs topping 100 tomorrow into the weekend, but also getting more humid, more oppressive. Look at the morning lows climbing upper 70s to near 80 over the weekend. Monday and Tuesday, that's where we watch for any potential impacts from that system in the Gulf. Right now, I'm going with limited impacts locally, but again, we need to keep an eye on it. And then beyond that, the second half of next week, the extreme heat continues, highs at or above 100 degrees and not much rain expected. Time now 7:07 with an update on your Thursday morning drive. Here's Johnny.
Thank you, Steve. And while you were talking about the weather, the police officers were clearing the scene here at Airline at Choctaw. Had a wreck on Choctaw at Airline, creating some backups in all 4 directions. And it was really blocking Choctaw this way, westbound, approaching Airline Highway. They just had the wrecker take that off the scene. So all lanes are open on Airline. All lanes are open on Choctaw Drive there and in that area. 12 is still pretty slow this morning coming out of Denham. All of our on-ramps are backing up a little bit onto the interstate. Ramp metering has begun. Bridge traffic looks pretty good this morning. Our drive times are coming in from Denham Springs. I-12 is about 28, so about half an hour now from Juban all the way into the 1012, and we'll keep an eye on that for you. That'll be usually that gets better a little later lately now that school's back in, so we're into the 9 o'clock hour. It'll still be slow. Capsule format of your headlines you gave us this morning. That's what we've heard from you, and that's what we're delivering to you from Studio B every weekday morning, 7 o'clock on WAFB Plus. And for that, we go back to Studio B with those headlines you need. Here's Matt and Liz.
And Johnny, we've still got continuing coverage on the Maui wildfires here because every day we receive a grim update, and it is the death toll that is coming out of the islands of all the wildfires. Matt,
Right.
At last check, 111 victims.
The governor there saying that they believe obviously this death count, this body count is going to go up. They've only got to about 40% of the devastated area, so you do expect that to rise. Here's what we can do.
Yeah.
That is horrible to try and wrap your head around, and so how do we help? We've tried to make this easy.
How long have we been talking about the Hope for Hawaii
Yes.
fundraiser here? Our parent company teaming up with the Salvation Army because volunteers are already there giving out hot food, blankets, whatever people need to make it through the night. And remember, you can help continue those efforts. That money is going to need to be coming in because this effort is going to take days, weeks, maybe even months and years to come.
I think you're exactly right.
Here's an easy way to get involved right here today.
Now this is as simple as literally going over to Raising Cane's and picking up lunch or dinner. 15% of what they make today from all the stores around, going to the folks there in Maui, specifically going to like kind of a homeless shelter out there that got just wrecked and ruined. They're going to try and rebuild this. Plus they're also going to help in the moment those who need help. All you got to do is buy some chicken.
That's it. Think about it. Lunch today.
Okay, this was a big time story on Monday, right? A body found in the Mississippi River. The now and what's next is the update for you.
We've learned that foul play is not suspected in this case, but
yeah.
we're still waiting on the identification. The coroner's office, East Baton Rouge Coroner's Office, still working with the LSU Faces Lab to kind of get a good identity on this person. Of course, they have to notify that person's family, and then we will find out. As soon as we do, we're going to let you know.
Okay, from that to this. This is going to be a huge meeting today. The emergency meeting from the Baton Rouge School Board on Monday, because of the transportation issues, was so packed they had to keep people out. This is the regularly scheduled meeting, and Dr. Cito Narcisse says he's going to be coming with an action plan.
That's it. 5 p.m. today is when that board meeting starts. We're expecting it to be a packed room. WAFB is going to be in that room to cover that. If you can't make that meeting, we're also going to let you know what comes out of that, what these actionable steps might be. We'll let you know tonight.
So from school buses to garbage trucks and specific bins, garbage bins in East Baton Rouge Parish. I am one of those who actually have the 2 garbage bins. Do I want to continue with that? Actually, the answer is no. I'll be hitting that email a little bit later on today. There's a deadline for those who have the 2 bins and want to get rid of one.
If you want to be like Matt and not pay that extra $7 fee starting September 1st, if you don't turn in that extra garbage cart that you have, they're going to tack on a $7 fee to your garbage bill. So if you want to turn in your other garbage cart, we have a link at the bottom of the story for you to fill out.
It's all the fun stuff.
It's a survey right here. You can learn more about the process, and you have to contact them to turn that in. And that way, you're not going to get charged that surcharge if you're having 2 bins for collection in EBR.
Exactly. So make that happen.
I
want to let you know about this as well. Kelly Hubbard was talking a little bit about this morning. Crime prevention districts. They're becoming more popular in some spots where it's been maybe difficult to get a collective together to battle crime.
Specifically talking about Glen Oaks, Victoria Farms part of the world. So Councilman Darrell Hurst oversees all of that area. Tonight there's going to be a meeting at Glen Oaks High in the auditorium. I believe it starts at 5 p.m. today, 6 to 8, to talk about how the community can get together, figure out some solutions to prevent this, with the school playing an important role in the middle of the community.
Glen Oaks High, and that, of course, as Liz mentioned, that's where the meeting's going to be, and why wouldn't the school play an important part? This is where you're going to educate the youth, and it's got to be all hands hands in. So if this community votes on this, dollars would be spent on helping to prevent crime there. Again, 6 to 8 tonight if you want to be a part of this.
Join in.
Speaking of schools, the all clear given after a lockdown at Baton Rouge High School and surrounding schools because of a bomb threat and guns on campus, school surrounded. Now, what's next?
The investigation, right? Police are still looking into the student that called these schools, called police with this threat to campuses, and that's why we sent out an alert. That's why parents of students got that all call, letting you know about that situation around campus. Yeah. Scary for sure, right? Police are still investigating and trying to find the student who made these threats. Okay, from that to this, I want to get you a look here. Up on the bluff, Southern University. They're going to provide some folks with some free resources. This is about a little bit more than a month away. Some free resources that you and your family can tap into that you're going to have to use at some difficult times. Nobody likes to talk about what happens to your stuff after you die, but if you have children, if you have assets, even if you're thinking, I just have a house, it's not much, still, if you want to pass that along to avoid probate, things going to the court, you need to have a will or trust in place. And if you don't know where to start, the Southern University Law Center is hosting a seminar on September 30th. As Matt mentioned, still a ways out, but start thinking about all the things you have, getting all your documents together, your wills, your deeds, anything that you own that might be helpful for this seminar so they can kind of help you get that will together.
Guys, it's not something, again, to Liz's point, you hate to think about that, but look, it's inevitable for everybody. It's to get that in place, it's at the level of comfort.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just one of those things you don't want to have your family members deal with. You know, there's enough to deal with when that time hits.
That's true.
You're right. That's true. You're right. Speaking of comfort, nicely done, Steve.
You're very welcome. I'm going to be popular this morning, and I'll be the villain by this afternoon as we get up around 100. So just keep that in mind.
Easy on him,
back up.
You're the villain now. The weather's nice, though.
Johnny, he's going to throw something at you. Careful.
Get yourself summer ready with the award-winning lineup of Hondas at Team Honda. We'll help you find just the right vehicle to hit the road to whatever destination awaits you. Come shop the most awarded brand in Car and Driver's 10 Best history at Louisiana's #1 Honda dealer, Team Honda on Siegen Lane.